We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
All right. Welcome back to Conspiracy Corner Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host. So, went out, did a little bit of errands. I ran out of L-theanine. You guys know my supplements that I take. If you don't, go check out the 420 episode. It's probably the best advice I can give to anyone who is suffering from anxiety, depression, mental illness, anger. I ran out of L-theanine, so I had to get L-theanine. It's part of my daily regimen. I mean, you guys probably see me take it on camera. And I had some more time before work, so I figured, why not podcast again? 2 in 1 day. That, and I got some Christmas presents for my coworker. He got me, for my birthday, which was yesterday, I'm 34, he got me, Hogwarts Legacy, and then he also got me, there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card set called Cosmo. It's like, basically, Star Wars and Wizard of Oz, like, is the theme. It's pretty fucking cool, and he gave me the entire set, so, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting you some gifts. Little Shop of Horrors, the original with Jack Nicholson. I've never seen this one. I've seen the newer one, and I got him some Avenger playing cards, so I'll be giving that to him today. Merry Christmas, buddy. Also, speaking of cards, it's all up in the air. Depends on what time I get up tomorrow. I might do it after work tonight. Who the fuck knows? I may be doing a Thanksgiving Blue Pill Podcast special episode, a live stream, where... So I went to the flea market and I bought myself a shit ton of, like, dope-ass retro trading cards. And I might do an unboxing, card opening episode and show you guys the sets that I got. I'm pretty sure all 3 sets that I bought are complete sets. So I might do a live stream because people like card openings, a Blue Pill Podcast episode, something cool for Thanksgiving. Plus it's nice to talk to you all in the live chat and stuff. So I may do that either tonight or tomorrow before work. It just depends. I have a Buy Me a Coffee account set up in the link below if you would like to donate to the channel. It helps pay for pens, papers, notebooks, flash drives. And I will snail mail you a sticker if you donate. Yeah, let's get on with the show. So if you guys are longtime listeners, the elites, I usually just call them the elites. I do think it is a pyramidal structure. I think there is a very select few who are at the very top. I believe those people are Sabbatean Frankist. If you don't know what that is, go look into it. We need to honestly just do an entire episode on Sabbatean Frankism and what it is. To me, after all my years of studying, that's what makes the most sense, that these people are Sabbatean Frankists. But when it gets further down the pyramid, I think that there's factions. That they're either like all competing to get higher up the pyramid. There's probably jealousy, there's blackmail. We know that for a fact with all this Epstein stuff going on. It's kind of like a competition of let's get further up the pyramid. So I think that whoever's at the top does have like a major game plan, but you got to admit there are hundreds, if not thousands, of chess pieces that these people are moving. So there's going to be misunderstandings. Nobody's going to be on the exact same page. I mean, especially if you look at like global control, the world as a company. I mean, there's just going to be factions. You can't move all the pieces perfectly. So, Bill Gates said something interesting here recently. Honestly, at this point, I'm not sure if I have a Bill Gates playlist, but if I do, go check it out. If I don't, I need to just set up a Bill Gates playlist if you're interested in specific subjects. I try to organize the channel a little better. Bill Gates, we talked about him a shit ton on this channel. He said something interesting about climate change here recently. Almost to sum it up quickly, basically saying, oh, climate change is not that big of a deal. Which was interesting. So, either the elites are probably pissed, like, dude, what the fuck are you saying? Like, that's the next game plan. Or, are they shifting the game plan? Doubtful. Or, did he not get a memo somewhere? Is he showing some form of free will and kind of like, no, fuck this noise? I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. We're going to go into it, and I'll make comments here and there and try to figure this shit out, but it's interesting. So Bill Gates makes a stunning claim about climate change. In a stunning and significant pushback to the doomsday climate activist community, Bill Gates, a leading proponent for carbon emission reductions, which we did an episode here recently called I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. He normally is like bought into the whole climate change propaganda and pushes it. So it's interesting. I don't know what to think about it. It could just be order out of chaos of like the Hegelian dialect, I believe it is of keep people not knowing if you're coming or going, confusion, order out of chaos, just to confuse us, just to distract us. This could all be a distraction. Who the fuck knows, man? It's just interesting. So he published a remarkable essay Tuesday that argued resources must be shifted away from the battle against climate change. So pay no attention there. Instead, Gates argues, and by the way, I don't have this essay that he wrote. Maybe we could look it up and do an episode on it. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing the actual essay. Instead, Gates argues the world's philanthropist, it's their version of philanthropy. I mean, you and I, the average Joe who donate and help people and all that, we actually do philanthropy, but I've always said this, man, they take beautiful words and words that have good meanings and invert them, like futurism. There's nothing wrong with wanting a Jetsons like future, but they want a dystopia, more like Philip K. Dick. Progressive is not a bad word. All it means is like to literally progress rather than degress. They've taken that and destroyed it. Conservative, they've destroyed conservatism. Philanthropy, who's the main philanthropist? Like Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein was considered a philanthropist at a time. Bono, we did a whole episode on his philanthropy. Oprah, like they take these beautiful words and invert them. It's very Crowleyan, because Crowley was really big into that, the inversion of everything. Sorry, my alarm. So, he says the world's philanthropists must increase their investment in other efforts aimed at preventing disease and hunger. So this is where I think that, like I explained at the intro, of like there's factions to this shit, and that they are competing with each other. So we know that he's really big into vaccines, and we know that he's like the world's largest landowner, I believe now. It used to be the Queen of England, but she passed. I think that Bill Gates might have taken the title as far as the world's largest landowner, which is terrifying, considering he's a psychopath. But world hunger and disease, that ties in with being the world's biggest farmer, and we all know he's huge on vaccines. So, like, is he saying that we shouldn't focus on climate change for greed? That he's like, hey, focus more on these two subjects, which I happen to be a huge proponent of. Is he trying to fill his own pockets? Because there's a part of me that's always said, like, in the conspiracy community, people always say, follow the money. Which I do believe following the money is kind of putting you down the rabbit hole of finding who's doing what, who's at the top of what, you know. But I don't think it's all about the money. I think it's a spiritual warfare thing. I think it's a loosh thing. No, I'm not like some Bible thumper or something, but I truly do believe that it's deeper than just the money. Because there's some people that they're kind of like lower level conspiracy theorists, and they think it's all about the money. I don't think it's all about the money. Because money at the end of the day is useless. It's paper. You can't eat it. Same with gold and silver. You can't eat it. It's a soft metal. I mean, it serves no purpose, really, you know. Climate change is not going to wipe out humanity, he argued. And past efforts that strive for zeroing carbon emissions have made real progress. But Gates said the past investments fighting climate change have been misplaced, and too much good money has been put into expensive and questionable efforts. So it might be that he's just wanting to fill his pockets. So he's like, don't put your money over there, put your money in my pocket. Could be a greed thing. Which there was reports that, like, I think we even covered it. No, I don't think we covered it. I think I was watching a documentary, but his ex-wife, Melinda Gates, was talking about when they first got together, one of their very first dates when they were walking on a beach together, he, like, literally was looking out at the beach. And this is his version of romanticism, of romancing a woman. And instead of saying something like, you're beautiful, and I can't wait to be your soulmate forever, he literally just started talking about how one day I'm going to be a billionaire. Not a millionaire, like a billionaire. And, like, you know what I mean? That's a true fucking story, too, allegedly. Like, go look it up. It's fucking crazy, you know? So we know he is a greedy fucking bastard, you know? Although Gates said investment to battle climate change must continue, he argued that President Donald Trump's cuts to USAID threaten a more urgent problem, inflicting potentially lasting global damage to fight against famine and life-threatening preventable sickness. And by the way, this kind of reminds me where we were talking about Bill Gates says he's more concerned with illnesses and disease. It reminds me of that time that him, Donald Trump, and Ivanka's his wife, right? Ivanka, Donald, and him were all sitting together, and this was during the pandemic. Someone caught him on a hot mic, and Bill Gates like leans over and looks at Bill and Ivanka, and he's like, we didn't do good this time talking essentially about the pandemic, and he says, it's okay though, we'll get them next time. And Fauci here recently that did an interview, which maybe we'll cover one day, talking about like they're always hinting at there will, not even hinting, they're like saying there will be another pandemic. So when we beat the first one, quote unquote, beat the first one, hang on just a second. Yes, I was grateful. I think it went horribly. Too many people bought into it. Too many people reacted exactly how I told them not to react. I was screaming at the rooftops, tearing my hair out. But we did make it out the other side alive. And I told people, though, when we did, don't get your hopes up. Don't get too excited. We may have won the battle, but we didn't win the war. And I kept reminding people of the psycho shit that these elites were saying, that there's going to be another one. So, in their eyes, the first one was a failure. I think they were like, hey, we're going to try to pull this off. If we can't pull it off, at least it's a test run, and we have all this data of will these sheep comply. But that doesn't mean they're not going to try to do it again. Climate change, disease, and poverty are all major problems, Gates wrote. We should deal with them in the proportion to the suffering they cause. The Trump administration funding cuts, Gates argue, necessitates an immediate and larger focus on investment and resources to support those abandoned efforts. Although climate change will have serious consequences, particularly for people in the poorest countries, because you guys know he loves the poorest countries, like over in Africa, and that's why what was it we covered the other day? Kenya like stripped him of diplomatic immunity. We did a whole episode on it. Go check it out. I'll link it down below in Spotify. Yeah, he loves these poor countries. Loves them, Inversion. It will not lead to humanity's demise, Gates wrote. This is a chance to refocus on the metric that we should count even more than emissions and temperature change, improving lives. Our chief goal should be to prevent suffering, particularly for those in the toughest conditions who live in the world's poorest countries. He loves us so much, man. Gates' shocking essay comes ahead of next month COP30, a global summit focused on battling climate change. So COP30, we'll have to do a whole episode on that whenever it comes up. So apparently it's next month, December. I've never heard of that that meeting, that summit. So we'll have to do a deep dive on it. And by the way, how many of these elites are going to fucking fly there on private jets? They're so obsessed with climate change and not destroying the planet, that instead of all carpooling or jet pooling, did I just invent a term? If I did, I copyright it. Instead of jet pooling and all riding together and flying together, they're all going to fly there separately, because that's good for the planet. It shows you that they really care, The Trump administration eliminating USAID, an international aid organization that supplied foreign countries with $8 billion in annual support to provide food and medicine to people who otherwise lack access to those life-saving necessities. Gates denied his new position represents a reversal from his past stances. So he's just gaslighting. He's like, I didn't say that, even though he's like literally kind of shifting his viewpoint, it seems. He said in Tuesday's essay that the world must continue to support its past efforts to achieve zero carbon emissions. However, Gates told CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin in an interview Tuesday that pulling back from climate investment was a huge disappointment, albeit a necessary one. Like I said, it's a chessboard, it's a chess game. Maybe they're not giving up on the climate change shit, but just like, I don't know, maybe like with the COVID thing where like they pushed too hard with that, maybe they're like, hey, we got to be easier with this shit. Not so gung-ho and guns a-blazing. Maybe let's try a more sneaky, chiller approach this time, you know? Because that'll be the next pandemic, will be the climate pandemic, you know? We'll have like shutdowns and all that shit for climate instead of COVID, you know? Or they could pull off both at the same time, another virus pandemic and a climate pandemic at the same time. It also represents a stark contrast from where Gates had been focusing his efforts and philanthropy, including clean energy businesses and lobby shops, and a turn from Gates' tone from just a couple years ago. In 2023, since removed Breakthrough Energy essay, for example, Gates noted that most people around the world are struggling with the effects of climate change, a feeling that can be overwhelming and necessitates a response with unprecedented scale and speed. I don't know about you, but I've never felt overwhelmed with climate change, with the weather, the climate. In the summers, is it a little too hot for my liking? Yeah. But I mean, I just kind of stay indoors and chill, or go out when it's evening or early morning. But it's not like overwhelming. During the winter, it kind of sucks. I don't like driving in the snow. But I do enjoy snow days when I can't get out. It's just kind of taking a day off. That's kind of nice sometimes, but I've never felt overwhelmed. So that's a little overdramatic, Mr. Gates. Some critics argue that Gates' shift represents a false dichotomy, a significant account of suffering that Gates now says is a priority, is directly or indirectly a result of climate change. Humans are resilient, and while billion-dollar disasters will become more frequent and devastating, he's predicting, humans will not be wiped from the face of the earth. Jennifer Francis, senior scientist at Woodwell Climate Research Center, which studies extreme weather and climate change, told CNN, however, investments need to continue to focus on curing the disease, emissions of trapping gases, while also treating the symptoms, which include improving health and hunger, bolstering infrastructure, and preserving ecosystems. So, I just said it. I haven't read this, by the way. I just said that's going to be the next pandemic. They're going to treat climate change like they treated the virus. That's why we have to be on house arrest. That's why we can't go anywhere, because of the emissions. You know, stay inside. Don't go to work. Work from home. Just stay on house arrest, you know? No more driving unless it's electric vehicle. Which, by the way, we're going to ban gas vehicles, but we're not going to give you an electric vehicle, you know? Not that I want an electric vehicle anyways, but Minority Report. By the way, this electric vehicle, you know, like, if we want to just tap into it and control it, and drive it around like Christine, or stop it if we don't like what you're doing, or shut it off so you can't go to work, or you want to go on a date with your missus, it's your anniversary, well, that's too bad. Your carbon points are too high this month, you can't go on that date, and if you try to hop in the car, it's not going to start. I'm just saying, dude, I see where it's going. There is no greater threat to developing nations than the climate crisis, said Michael Mann, director of Penn Center for Science, Sustainability, and the Media. He's got this all backwards. So Bill Gates has caused some infighting. Interesting. Let me know what you guys think about all this. So we have a little extra time. And I didn't know what this COP30 was. Let's kind of dive into this a little bit that we just mentioned in that article. Let's see what COP30 is. This is coming next month, apparently. Fresh energy and COP30, which we'll just call COP30. It's easier to say COP30. The UN Climate Change Conference. The 30th conference of the parties, COP30, to the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change will be held in Belém, Brazil on November 10th through the 21st, 2025. So that article must have been older then. It already happened. Okay. J. Drake Hamilton, Managing Director, Science Policy at Fresh Energy, will be attending the conference virtually. Stay tuned. Wow, so he actually, quote unquote, does care about the environment. He's not going to fly there on a private jet. Stay tuned for this page on updates. So let's see, November 21st, parties continue negotiations for funding, clean energy transition, and adaptation. The presidency shuttle diplomacy of the Belém text proposal continued throughout last night and into the rest of today. The summit president has warned everybody will lose if countries fail to cooperate to preserve the Paris Agreement. And I believe that's the one that Trump stepped out of. A critical of the Paris Agreement, finance from richer nations for a clean energy transition and adaptation is not yet in the COP30 text. Political leaders from wealthier countries must show today a willingness to meet their responsibilities to fund climate action in poorer nations. Give us more money. Yesterday afternoon, a fire occurred in the pavilion area of COP30's Blue Zone where delegates were. The area was evacuated and reopened at 8:40 p.m. in Brazil. Thank goodness the fire caused no injuries. That's interesting. Do you guys know if there's any conspiracies around that fire? It kind of reminds me, not that it just kind of reminds me of it, of like the pipes bursting during the ballot count, you know. That's weird. We might have to look into that. Do an episode talking about that. A deal text would need approval by consensus among 196 countries present in order to be adopted. As I write this, parties are still negotiating. We will look forward to having you join us on Wednesday, December 3rd for a webinar for the full report out from COP30. So that article wasn't super old then. They're still getting together December 3rd to continue this COP30 stuff. And it sounds like it's going to be a webinar. So they've caught on with the backlash that we literally mock them because we see through their bullshit of flying private jets to these fucking meetings and shit. So it sounds like it's going to be a webinar. The COP30 president announced his intentions to the parties and observers of the current planning for work on Thursday and Friday. The COP presidency will undertake shuttle diplomacy on some of the text proposals that have been made. As these draft decisions are ready for adoption, they will be added to the list of decisions completed on Friday. Please stay tuned for the next final text. So there you have it. Let me know what you guys think about Bill Gates kind of backing off of the climate change shit. I've never looked into this COP30 shit. I think we will. I'm going to write it in my notebook. We will have to do an episode on that fire. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something, that was just a coincidence or something naturally occurred. But very rarely does something weird like that happen at such a weird high-level event where there's so many elites. Like, something about that seems fishy, so we might have to do an episode diving into that. Please like, share, and subscribe. If I don't do a Thanksgiving special live stream, I apologize. Life probably just got busy. We shall see. If I don't see you then, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And be thankful.